Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, just kind of concentrating on the team and our depth charts as we're probably going to go into the game. So what we're looking at here, starting with the offensive line, I know there's a lot of speculation as far as who our starters will be, and we've been working hard through pre-fall trying to get our combination. And our left tackle, Richard Wilson, we're pretty confident in Richard. Left guard position will be Nate Remza. Our center position will be Eric Bergstrom. And Bergman. Right guard will be Tanner Crum. And our right tackle will be Clayton Melville. Now, a couple of things of note. We did add a transfer this past week in Ethan Worth from Toledo. And today he'll be cleared to go full pads. He's been doing the shells up to this point. He does show some ability and some potential. So Ethan will be figuring into future game plans. We're not real sure how he'll figure in this week, but that has been a big positive. Corey Bomer also has done a very good job playing the tackle guard position. Right now we got him as backup to the guard spot. Tanner Crum and Eric Bergman are kind of interchangeable at the center in the guard position. So, and then our left guard, left tackle, that's remained fairly consistent through the course of pre-fall. Jake Notario is a freshman that will travel with us, will be available if needed. That would only be a situation where if we had some injuries and had some depth concerns, but that's the offensive line. Our tight end position, we feel pretty good about. Michael Pruitt has had a good pre-fall. Adam Feeney has really stepped forward and earned the confidence of the coaches. And we did make a position move with Josh Gadlin, moving from outside linebacker to the tight end position. So those are the three tight ends. And our fullback position, which is interchangeable with the tight end position, Ray Agnew returns as a starter there, backed up by Rick Hicks. Both of those individuals will see action during the course of the game. Moving over to the receiver position, we feel good about the 6 receivers that we have in the top 2 position. David Lewis really has had a good pre-fall. Stephen McKinney has accelerated his level of play. He's much more confident now with the offense and what we're asking him to do. And John Lance will play the Z receiver, backed up by Luke Standiford, who's been here going into his senior year. Carl Harris is another senior that provides very quality depth. And freshman Josh Sullivan has had a very good pre-fall also. So we feel good about the receiving core. One individual, Sean Mitchell, is a freshman. Again, he'll travel, and we are evaluating whether or not we will be playing him here in the near future. Our tailback situation, Stephen Strother will be our starting tailback, and then the number 2 spot will be either Muku Koloko or otherwise Mikael McCall. So how we work those guys in will depend upon the game plan. And our quarterback position, Corey Faulkner has had a good pre-fall, followed by A.J. Hill and Matt Vincent. So that will be our quarterback depth chart. On the defensive line, we'll start left end Ken Boatwright, nose guard Keon Swanson, and Blake Miller will get the start at the right end spot. As Obiora has a turf toe that he's battling, he'll be available to play, but Blake has been doing a very good job at the right end spot, so he'll get the start. We will play T.J. Beelan, who's a true freshman at the nose guard position. He's done very good during camp. And then our backups, Kyle Cavill is a senior that's definitely been in the program for a good amount of time, and Adam Brandt is a redshirt freshman that shows some very good potential. Our outside linebacker will be Jason DeMonch and Corey Lee. They both return as starters. Their backups will be Kevin Reed and Tyler Williamson. Tyler transferred in this past year. Kevin transferred in a year ago, so they give us some quality depth at the outside linebacker spot. Inside linebacker, Brian Presame really has had a good off-season. We like what we see with him. He'll be the Sam linebacker. Joe Ocon will be the Will linebacker. This will be his 3rd year as a starter for us. And then our backups will be Talon Hunter, Jordan Poole, and then Victor Burnett will be working in that rotation also. Secondary was probably one of our bigger areas of concern. Our left corner will be Terrell Wilson. Our right corner will be Emmanuel Soren. And Emmanuel's done a good job coming in, learning the system, and being very competitive in the drills. Our backups, Courtney Richmond, who started a few games for us last year, and then Caleb Humphrey will be a true freshman. He will be playing right away. Our safety position, Luke Thuston returns as a safety. The other free safety will be Carlton Lewis, who's a transfer in from Clemson. He's had a good pre-fall, has learned the system. I also like our depth with David Boatwright and Dante Lewis, and then Anthony Thompson, who was also a transfer that came in, gives us very quality depth at the safety position. Special teams, our kickers with the PAT field goal. Right now that will be decided upon here in the near future of either Jackson McLaughlin or Austin Johnson. Our kickoffs will be handled by Chris Adams, so we will be splitting that responsibility between the kickoffs and the PAT field goals. Our punter is back, Austin Puchalowski, and Austin Johnson's also the backup punter for us. Our snappers, Jason Stegman returns for his 3rd year as being our starter, and then Thor Hatfield is our backup snapper. So that's what those 2 guys do, they snap the football. And then our return, we're fortunate here, we return the same return crew that we had last year. Stephen McKinney will be our punt return specialist, backed up by John Lance, and Steve Strother and Muku Koloko will be our 2 kickoff return guys. And actually there's a few guys that could enter into that mix here as the season progresses. Injury-wise, where we're currently at, our tight end Dalton Morgan, he will not be ready this week, but he is on a week-by-week schedule as far as potentially being ready. Paul McIntosh, we're not anticipating Paul being back until probably mid-season at the earliest. Israel Lamprakis is a receiver. He's kind of week by week also. Josh Tinajero is an offensive lineman guard for us that just recently had surgery with the meniscus, and he'll be out 3 to 4 weeks, but he will be returning. And as we released earlier, Jesse McMullen, he is out for the season, as is Juan Avila, an outside linebacker that hurt his knee in spring ball. So that's our injury report as of today. Schedule, as far as our practice, even though today is Monday, in the coach's mind and player's mind, it's really Wednesday. So it's we've set up our schedule accordingly. Today we will be at Saluki Stadium in the afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be at Saluki Stadium in the evening. We wanted to get a practice under the lights just to get used to throwing and kicking the ball around with the lights on. Wednesday we will practice here and then leave for Effingham after practice. And then Thursday we will spend the day in Effingham and bus to Charleston to get ready for the game. So that's our travel plans for the week. As far as Eastern Illinois, just a little background on them. They return a lot of players. Just watching last year's film, even though they've had a coaching change, we're still able to watch a lot of their personnel that we'll be playing against. And with their coaching change, it definitely presents some challenges to us that we're not quite sure how it's going to actually present itself. Offensively, they will do a very up-tempo type offense that Baylor did this past year and other programs like Oregon. So defensively, we have an idea what to expect, but we're not completely certain on the logistics of what they'll be trying to do, personnel, those type of things that you would like to have a few more answers going into a game. So defensively, we really have to be ready for a wide gamut of possibilities. But if you look at their offense, their quarterback returns from last year, and he's pretty good. He put up very impressive numbers last year. I think he was second in the Ohio Valley in passing yards, and he has a good core of receivers that return, led by Chris Wright, who had 6 receptions and over 100 yards against us last year. Eric Laura is a receiver that's returning from a year ago. He sat out last year with an injury, and so he's another high-quality receiver. And I know they have talent at that position. Plus, you look at the offensive line; 3 of the 5 starters return. So this is an offensive unit that has a lot of talent. That's definitely going to stress the defense. Defensively, they also return quite a few players. You look up front, their front 4 starters return. And even with the depth, a lot of those guys were in backup positions. The number 2 guys have played a lot of football, so they have good quality depth up front. Their secondary, they return 3 of the 4 people in the secondary, and they have 1 returner at the linebacker position. So overall, their depth on defense is pretty impressive. And then you look at their special teams, they return everybody. Their punter, kicker, snapper, holder. So this is an area that we expect them to be very consistent with what they're doing also. So overall, you look at them, this is a team that had a disappointing year last year. They're very hungry to definitely make a statement. We're catching them at a time where very little is known about them, and the emotions are going to be extremely high. First game for their new coach, home game, so it's going to be one of those emotional games that we need to be ready to put our best performance out there. So the challenge is definitely there for us. Any questions?
Since Coach Favors came from Baylor, I mean, how much Baylor tape have you looked at just to help you guys get ready, since a lot of it is similar to what they will be running?
Right, it's one where you're aware of you watch the tape, you take as much as you can from it, but at the same time you don't want to put too much stock in it, because there'll be some variances naturally that'll go with it. But yeah, Baylor's quarterback looked pretty good last year. It's a good offense.
I've watched in practice where you mentioned that Bergman and Crum switched back and forth. What is the determining factor in leaving Crum, for instance, at guard and Bergman at center instead of the other way?
Well, to be honest with you, I'd rather not disclose that, because it has to do with strengths and weaknesses, and I'd rather not expose what some of those strengths and weaknesses are.
Okay.
Coach, can you talk about the challenge of opening on the road for the first game?
Actually, I like it. It's naturally you always like to have home games, but that first game, just to have your team with you on the road, kind of a closed environment, I like that part. You get to spend a lot of quality time with your players, a chance to bond, and I do think there's some benefits to that when you're at home, sometimes there's so many distractions that happen around that first game of the year that you would like to have your players more isolated. But so I don't mind the road game for the first game of the year.
Since you guys run a tempo offense too, how beneficial has that been in getting the defense ready for what they may see?
Well, I think, and that's what you rely upon going into those first games, regardless of who you're playing, is a lot of the preparation that you've done against your own side. What we do offensively is pretty diverse. We can give our defense a lot of different looks. We can stress our defense in a lot of different ways. And because of that, we're hoping that has prepared our defense to have a little easier time adjusting during the course of Thursday night. And it's one of those situations where we will need to adjust. We're going to have to figure this out as the game progresses, and that'll be part of the challenge.
Here's another one you probably can't answer. When you're playing a team like Eastern that has the hurry-up offense or the fast break offense or what you want to call it, where they run scripted plays and stuff, do you will you be set back in the base defense, or will you usually do your usual game as far as pressure and stuff?
Well, again, I'm not going to disclose what we're going to do here, and really with game plans, it's not a whole lot different than I've heard military people talk about going into battle. You know, you have a plan going in, but that usually lasts for about 5 minutes, and then it's just figuring things out, and you know, that's what we're going to have to be able to do. We got to adapt on the run, and you know, we have some concepts that we think can be successful. We have to get a quick evaluation during the course of the game. Are they being successful? And if they are, then definitely we'll stay with it. If they're not, we got to be able to go to the next plan. Playing a team with an up-tempo type offense, you got to be ready for a lot of points being potentially scored fast. So if you look at some of the games that Baylor plays in, Oregon plays in, you know, you could have a 14, 21 point lead, and that really isn't that safe of a lead, you know, because the whole goal of an up-tempo offense is to get the ball back to the offense as soon as possible. So they want to run 90 to 95 to 100 plays a game, and when you get an offense with that type of mentality, the potential for a lot of points being scored is there. At the same time, when a team is very high tempo, that means that you have the chance to get the ball back to your offense. So, you know, again, point swings are not that uncommon when you get into a game like this.
You had 3 picks against this team last year. You returned a lot of your guys up front with the front 7. You know, how confident are you can try to force some turnovers this weekend?
Well, in any game, turnovers are key. You know, especially if you're going to see the ball in the air. You know, if they have 90 plays during the course of the game, you're probably going to see 60 of them in the air. So when the opportunities are there, we need to be opportunistic. We need to be able to make the play, and that'll be something that will be very important for us. We can't give away opportunities against a team like this, and that's something that we have struggled in this past, but if we got a chance to make a pick, we got to make the play.
Is there a particular matchup that you're eyeing, or you think you guys maybe have the advantage in?
Well, again, it's just going in. It's like walking through a dark room. You know, you kind of have an idea where the furniture is, but every now and then you're going to stub your toe, and you know, that's kind of like the first game of the season.
Coach, with the high tempo offense that you're facing, are you concerned about conditioning with your defensive players?
We've been talking about conditioning all the way back in spring, just because this is a game that we knew we would get. We knew who the coach was that was coming in and the offensive style he was going to bring in. And with that being said, yes, I'm still worried about us being in shape to handle this, because it's going to stress us to a high level. We got to have every player ready to play and be ready to contribute. So, you know, that will be something too that we're monitoring during the course of the game.
But you're more confident with your receivers going into this year as you were last year?
I just think because we have as much experience. You know, last year, Stephen McKinney hadn't taken a snap at the receiver position. You know, now he's at a point where he's very comfortable. He's taken a full year of starting. He's able to make some catches and some make plays for us. David Lewis, I think, is finally at the point that we've been hoping that he'd be. You know, John Lance is just that consistent type player, and then you look at some of our backups, they're seniors. So, you know, I just think the overall experience level of our receiving corps should allow us to be a little bigger factor than we were in the past.
Last year, you know, when you guys played Eastern, it was Corey's first win of his career. Do you expect that, just confidence-wise, to help him at all going into a game like this?
Well, just having a year under his belt. You know, Corey was thrown into a tough situation. When Paul went down last year, we had to play some catch-up ball. Then that next week, we had to play North Dakota State, who won the national championship. You know, so he was thrown into some tough matchups, and that should help him. He should be more confident in the game plans. He should have a better understanding of the game plans, and hopefully that will translate in the ability to make more plays. And you know, again, that was was one thing that we lacked last year, the ability to make the big play. This year we need to do that.
How important for you guys will it be to get off to a fast start?
Well, just the finish is always the key. You know, the thing we're trying to prepare our guys, yeah, we want to get to a fast start, but if we do get to a fast start, you know, they're still going to, you know, come at us and make it life tough. And if we get off to a slow start, we're still going to have opportunities to come back. So not preaching the start as much as I am the finish.
Can you talk about kicker, Dale? You know, Austin and Jackson, are they that close, or are there certain situations you want to use one or the other?
No, when we go with the starter, we'll go with the starter and, you know, make that a final decision. And so that's something that we may make that decision all the way up. I don't want them all obsessing either, so it might be one of those we might not tell them till they're warming up before the game.
Now, Austin is the backup punter as well, and I think he's the backup holder. Are you pretty confident you're going to use him this year, or there's a possibility you might not if you don't need him?
No, we'll see how it progresses.
And could you talk about your attitude, winning close games? You were in a lot of games last year and just weren't able to close them out. Do you feel better about your chances this year about doing that?
Well, you'd like to think so. I mean, that's in this league, they're all going to be close. It's just too tough of a league. You're not going to dominate any team in this league. So if you can't win the close games, you're going to be in the bottom half of the final standings. And that's what happened to us last year. And we got to find a way to, you know, win those close games, make those plays at the end of the game. Where, you know, that's where it counts.
You see all your running backs hitting significant time?
All three will contribute, yeah. And with Steven and Muku, we've been taking a lot of reps at the receiver spot too, so you'll see them all over the field. A lot of different positions we can put them and hopefully use their skills accordingly.
And what kind of surgery did Dalton Morgan have?
Oh, I'd have to think. That was back in the early summer, so at the risk of being wrong, I'm not going to comment on that.
How much do you think this new kickoff line kicking off will affect our return game this year? Or is there any way to really determine that yet?
That again, yeah, if you got a good cover unit, you really don't want to kick the ball out of the end zone because now the ball comes out to the 25.
Right.
So teams aren't going to automatically want to kick the ball through the end zone. In fact, your good cover teams, you may see the higher sky kick, the 4-second type hang time, and then just trying to pin that team inside the 20. So, you know, it just depends on what the game plan. Some kickers can't kick it out of the end zone too, so it's, you know, I don't know how it's going to be affected.
On another thing in kicking, the other night I watched a high school game. I noticed some of them are using the Australian type of soccer kick where you run and give it a boot.
You're talking about punting now.
Have we ever tried that, or we don't care?
No, we've done that. You're talking punting now, not kicking.
Punting. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, punting.
Yeah, no, that's been a part of our, we have done that. We did that last year a couple times. So.
Anything else for Coach?
All right.
Thanks a lot. We're going to